Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Debbie and this is my Crafty Den, and I am going to attempt an art journal page today. So I have this kind of fall quote that I saw and I wrote it down and I really loved it, and I decided that I was going to do a page that I could put the quote on. So yeah, this is me putting the wax paper under my page so my pages don't stick together, because I've already started without it, of course. So anyway, that's down, and I'm going to give this page a coat of clear gesso. The gesso isn't dry yet, but I am going to use the Dylusions ink sprays in the colors Pure Sunshine, Turquoise, and Postbox Red. And I am going to spray them on this page, just right on top of the wet gesso. And I don't want them to run a lot. I just want them to kind of blob on there and maybe mix a little bit where they touch each other. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just spraying them onto the page, looking for some fall colors. And I'm hoping that that's what I'm going to get with these. They were the closest ones that I had to fall colors. So I just let this dry for a little bit, and it dulled down a little bit, but it wasn't quite enough. It was still too bold for me. So I wanted it to be a more muted background. So I kind of wondered what I was going to do. I was going to go over it with some white gesso. Then I thought that that might cover it too much because I didn't want to lose the color completely. So I just started playing around with some of this modeling paste. And I thought if I don't put it on thick, if I spread it out, then you'll still be able to see through it. I couldn't remember if it dried clear or if it dried with a gray tone. But yeah, I'm just playing around trying to decide whether I actually wanted to have texture or not. And then, of course, to speed things up a little bit, I got my heat tool out so I could dry this. And while the rest of it was drying, I decided to look for a couple of pieces of paper that I could use for the quote. So I found in the Your Creative Studio box, I found this rice paper. This is the box from August. And so I found this rice paper that was beige and had these dark speckles in it. It's just so pretty, so fall. And then just this paper from the small notepad that was in there. So I'm ripping an oval shape for the center of my page, and that's what I'm going to write my quote on. I have a burgundy Flair pen, and I'm just going to hand write a little quote. And so I'm going to, I wanted to see how you could tear this paper, and it doesn't tear really well. It's almost like a fabric. It has little fibers in it. So I decided to try a method that I use on my napkins when I'm using napkins in art, and that is to take a fine paintbrush, dip it in water, and just draw a line where you want your napkin to tear. And I gotta say, it worked really well on this. I just made a nice little wet line, and then I picked my paper up and basically just pulled it right apart. And it just pulled the fibers from the paper out so they feathered really nicely along the edges. A little bit more water there because I was really close to the edge. And now I have the 2 layers of paper that I'm going to use. So I used the Flair pen and wrote my quote, and then I'm using my Distress Oxide in the color Fire Brick to go around the edges. I just wanted the edges to stand out and divide the two. I wanted to separate the two layers of paper, of course, but this is the one that I'm using right here. This fire brick is such a great color for fall. And on I'm just going to call it rice paper because I'm not sure, but I couldn't rub into the paper at all because it just rolled the edge right up. But I did put the finger dauber onto the edge of the paper and kind of pushed it off, and I got a good look, and I got the Distress Oxide on all the little fibers that were coming off that edge, and it turned out quite nice. I'm using my Tombow glue because this works really great on paper, and I'm using it to glue first the piece of paper with the quote to the backing paper, and then the whole piece, the two pieces of paper, and I'm putting the glue just on the part that has the two layers because I wasn't sure if it would show through this backing paper because it's so fine. And that you can't really see it in the picture, but that backing paper looks really nice on there. It has a really sandy, soft look to it. So I'm playing around with silk leaves. Yes, I can't do a fall page without using these silk leaves. Every year at the dollar stores, I find these packages of maple leaves, oak leaves, what have you, and they have all kinds of them, and every year they're a little different. Every year I grab a few more packages, and I always have some left over, so now I have quite a variety of leaves, and I just wanted to use as many different colors and shapes as I could put on this page. The forest floor, when the leaves fall, have a huge variety of leaves and colors and textures, and that's what I wanted this to look like. I wanted it to look like somebody had dropped that piece of paper onto the forest floor and it was just laying there amongst all the leaves, and that's what I'm going for sure. I love these leaves. I love that they all have different textures to them. They have different colors. Some of them are just a plain color. Some of them are 2 and 3 different colors. They're so pretty, guys. If you're in the dollar stores in the fall and you see these packages of leaves, just grab them because they're great to have in your stash. This is the other half of the big one that I cut in half at the top. It matches the color of that red spray almost perfectly. And it always helps your colored leaves to show up a little bit more by just adding a few plain green ones in. Not all the leaves turn color before they fall off the trees. They some of them just dry up and fall off and they're still green. They fade a little bit. They're not bright green anymore, but they're still green. I'm just loving now how all the colors are looking on top of that background. I didn't want white space of any kind on this page. So I'm just going to add another leaf here and just make sure everything's where I want it. Then I'm grabbing my hot glue gun and I am just going to start putting just a little dot on the outer points of these leaves to hold them in place. I mean, you can see there that I barely touched that leaf and it fell off, and that's what will happen. So I want these leaves to stay where I've put them now when I set this page aside to dry. And that's what this hot glue. The hot glue will never last I find it doesn't last anyway, in an art journal like this, so I would never use it on its own. But yeah, so I got everything hot glued down. I'm putting my date on here, September 2021, and I think it just needs one more thing. So I'm going to grab a toothbrush and some white paint, and I am just going to splatter a little white paint over the top of this page. And I mean, I really think in the case of something like this, it makes a big difference. It really, really does. So here it is finished, and it says, "Listen, the wind is rising and the air is wild with leaves. We have had our summer evenings, now for autumn eves." And it's a quote by Humbert Wolf. I've never heard it before. I just came across it and I really loved it. So if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment down below. Leave me a little message. Let me know what you're up to. By all means, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done that already. And everybody, please take care, stay safe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye for now.